Hi everyone, Maria Kliavkoff here, the founder and director of the Healthy Mourning Revolution. I'm coming on in order to do a YouTube specifically on resource review for womb twin survivors. So womb twin survivors is a very unique pocket of grief, and yet we know from numbers that 1 in 10 of us actually is a womb twin survivor. And so this past week I've talked about disenfranchised grief, and I've talked about all kinds of disenfranchised grief, but in particular the grief of the womb twin survivor. And I want to introduce you, if you don't already know, the resources that are available, particularly through Womb Twin Survivor, the organization that supports the work of Althea Hayton. Althea Hayton is kind of the mother and grandmother of womb twin survivors. She articulated in her books in a way that nobody had before. And to this day, her books are the go-to resource for anybody who discovers they're a womb twin survivor and wants to learn more. The book in particular that I want to read from today for you is called A Healing Path for Womb Twin Survivors. It is available through Amazon, and I will put the link in the description here. What is so important about this is that this helps us to understand how womb twin survivors happen, how you identify yourself as a womb twin survivor, and then it goes through to a conversation around grief. And remember, for me, grief is the internal experience of the loss. It is, and it's not just for me, it is the definition of grief. It is that internal constellation of experiences and emotions and reactions to the loss. Mourning is the external expression, and learning how to convert our grief to mourning is so key. And what I love is here on page 216, Althea Hayton actually speaks to this, and she speaks about feeling free to grieve, which often is that stepping stone to converting your grief to mourning. Is when you feel free to connect with your grief, then you can convert it to mourning, and you can begin to let the tears flow. So this is what she says. In the company of other womb twin survivors and supported by them, you can become free to grieve openly. Even when you are on your own, now you understand your grief, and you can cry your tears knowing that you are not going crazy, but experiencing a completely normal feeling. This is so important for us, right? Is that we suddenly recognize, as we identify that we're womb twin survivors, that we have a right to these feelings that we felt our entire life. And for many of us, we don't know why we've had these feelings until we're in our 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, later. But once we discover it, suddenly our life patterns make sense. Our life patterns of behavior, which may have been grief avoidance patterns, they start to make sense. And so this is what she's talking about here. So even when you are on your own, now you understand your grief, you can cry your tears knowing that you are not going crazy, but experiencing a completely normal feeling. If you are the parent of a womb twin survivor and your child is sad and tearful, seemingly for no particular reason, you may guess that the lost twin is the problem. My mother never had the benefit of that, and I had many bouts of exactly what she's describing here, and my parents knew nothing about it. They didn't know what the source of it was, and I couldn't articulate what the source of the sadness was. I'm really thrilled that in my practice now, there are many parents who come to me and say, what can I do to support my child? And this is the key. This is exactly what you can do. You follow your child's lead, and when the child seems sad and is needing to release some tears, you can sit with them in that space and you can companion them in that grief journey. So, then you can talk about the twin and openly cry together for the little person who would have been part of your family. To outsiders, an open display of emotion over a tiny twin lost before birth may seem excessive or over-sentimental, but until your tears flow, there can be little or no movement towards healing, and that's the key. We have to convert our grief to mourning, and tears are a really effective way to do that. in order for us to effect healing. Yeah? It may be that for a long time your feelings have been pent up while you have been seeking a reason and an appropriate outlet. Now you know the true cause of your grief. It can now fully be expressed. How beautiful. How beautiful. And so for those of you who have newly discovered that you're womb twin survivors, know that there is a community. There's a womb twin survivor community. We do chats weekly. You can go to my Facebook page, which is Healthy Mourning for Womb Twin Survivors, and join us in that free Facebook group. And that's where you'll find out when the chats are happening, and we can continue this conversation. Because as Althea pointed out, there's nothing like being in a community of people who are experiencing the same thing. And for many womb twins, discovering the community is a huge aha and is the open door that allows us to truly walk the healing path. And so again, the book is A Healing Path for Womb Twin Survivors by Althea Hayton. And I will put the link to this book so that you can access it in the description below. If this has been of support to you, I invite you to please subscribe to this YouTube channel, because every week I'm putting up something, whether it's a resource review or it's a conversation about a different angle. Please put a comment in the comment section and let me know any questions that you have, because that can become a topic of the next YouTube. So make sure you subscribe. And also, I have a podcast, the Healthy Mourning Revolution Radio podcast, and I invite you to hop over to the podcast and listen to some of my talks over there as well, because I did talk about disenfranchised grief in the podcast. Much love to you all. Until next time. Bye-bye.